podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
This is the Mall Street Journal.
Hello and welcome to the Mall Street Journal, the podcast that brings you all the latest news and reviews for all things American rugby. We are part of the Global Gainline Network and can be found on all your usual platforms, including YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. So if you haven't already, give us a like or subscribe, tell a couple of friends about us, or just send a series of text messages to Rufus McLean demanding to know where he was last night. This is, of course, episode 12. We've hit the dozen. You will likely recall that I'm David Lawrence, and I'm joined not by the full squad today. Kolya got kind of trapped in a little school event, as happens at this time of year. But, of course, from the heart of Dixie, it's Julia. Julia, how is life on the farm?
Oh, I really liked that right before we came on, you were like, I only have one intro where I'm going to get canceled. And then the one that you're not going to get canceled is the one where you call Virginia the heart of Dixie. While technically true, not welcome these days. Anyway, from here,
what I've been trying to confuse the AI algorithm
it's been fantastic
by saying you're from a different state every single week. I also want to really confuse Hugh, basically.
All of those things work, and then I also like that the few overseas people that I've dragged over, I just want them to I want them to believe that every state has several nicknames, and you can never keep them straight. And when you look them up online, they're wrong. But we know what we're talking
about. Julia, we came up with a weird one this week. If I had access to your search history, what would be the weirdest thing I found this week?
So this is the one where I'm sad we didn't have Kolya, because I bet Kolya had like a funny one that was like kind of normal or whatever. And then it wasn't just like the saddest aging homeowner. But everything that I bring you with your prompts is always something about the saddest aging homeowner. So my story now is, I have two dogs. One is older. He has more problems. One is younger. He basically has no problems at all. Bomb-proof dog. Iron stomach, can eat absolutely anything. Recently I've gotten really into birds. And when I say it out loud, I don't like it.
I would have believed almost any word to fill in that silence there.
Any word. I know, but the one that came was birds, and it's true. And I'm using the Merlin app a lot. It's fine. We're actually going to get a lot of hits on that. People are going to be like, I totally relate to that. I super into birds. However, like anybody who reads a Reddit thread, I now believe that I know more than professionals who make bird seed. So I'm like, no, I'm going to make my own mix.
Part-time ornithologist, Julia.
Part-time ornithologist, Dr. Julia. Also of the Cornell Ornithology Lab. So I believed that I could make better mix than was sold. Ethics, something, who knows. My dog starts acting weird. Unrelated, because I have not connected these thoughts. My dog gets, my younger dog who never gets sick starts getting sick to his stomach. I think that's very weird. We haven't changed anything. He doesn't eat any human food. I'm gonna fast forward this story because you can see where it's going. My dog's been eating birdseed.
Yeah.
My dog's been eating suet. Now, what you need to know about suet is that it's very good for birds. The problem is that squirrels also love it. So
yes,
birds can't taste spicy, but squirrels can. So suet often comes in hot pepper. So there's hot pepper suet that you can get in cakes. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Now, dogs can taste hot. And I know that now. And react to it. However, I was searching for the rarest Dr. House MD things that could have happened to my dog. Why is he throwing up? Why isn't he enjoying it? Well, Julia, he's eating hot pepper suet. And so in my history is, can dogs eat hot pepper suet? And that's my answer. And the answer is, it's okay.
Look, we have a surprise. Kolya has...
Hey!
I was able
He's been
to
emancipated.
escape.
Yay.
We got a surprise, and you just missed my incredible story about searching for if my dog can eat hot pepper suet. The answer is yes, but it makes them sick to their stomach.
Indeed. I didn't know you had gone down the bird rabbit hole.
I didn't.
I got the
This
the
was not
present
expected
of,
for me.
I got the bird feeder camera thing.
The camera bird feeder. That's where it started for me. This is,
you know what? It turns out that product is actually a squirrel feeder. So
it's a squirrel feeder. So you understand my pain and why I ended up with hot pepper suet after much editing.
Kolya, I don't want to jump you in too unprepared. We're still doing the little intro bit because we ended up chatting before we started
Uh,
recording. Did you have a chance to see our little text thread today? Did you come up with something
yes, I did.
wacky from your search history?
Yes, I was looking at weird demographics, weird demographic combinations.
I am
Okay.
into this. Go on. What were you looking for?
So, Lebanese and Mexico City.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And Lebanese Mexican food is a really good fusion
Yes,
food, and you can find it right.
I would go
Looks
there.
like you can find it in
yes.
Brownsville. It's
Mhm.
fantastic. How about you,
Kolya, how you
David?
doing?
Oh,
Mine's boring. Mine was probably Great Wolf Lodge wand battery replacement, which, it makes sense if you know about Great Wolf Lodge, but to somebody else, it must sound
I was gonna say to
like,
Americans we get this. To
Yes.
yeah, but
overseas,
but
it sounds like a weird
I think it sounds like
way
an
to go
army
by.
code. It's got a, like
Oh,
a
we went different places.
Alpha Bravo
Yeah, yeah,
Foxtrot Charlie
yeah.
kind of
I
pager.
was thinking Freemasons.
I had always been fascinated by the Freemasons because it's so secretive. And then one day when I was the demo guy at a Trader Joe's, a guy came in wearing a Freemason's hat. And I was like, I didn't know you guys were supposed to advertise. And I was like, oh,
You
Freemason.
should
Huh? And
be putting that out there.
and he was like, yeah, you should join. You should join. It's really great. And I was like, well, now I'm definitely not doing that.
We have a large Masonic temple here in the DC metropolitan area. And all I know,
It's
because it
called
often
Congress.
da 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 da.
What?
Isn't that the George Washington Monument? The other one, the first one?
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a few. And the whole thing is, of course, obviously the city is cloaked already in like weird secret society stuff. And then this one is just here are our freaks. And that's all I know about the Masons.
Mhm.
Well, I almost hate to do it, but we traditionally start with some news. We just found some news pretty close to recording time this week. Kolya, we started off with you. Do you want to kick this one off for us?
Well, do we want to start with that one or the millions of dollars that World Rugby is
Oh yeah,
pumping
yeah.
into the
Give us that.
US?
Yeah, give
Let's
us
do
that,
that
and then
first. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Bonanza.
so this week it came out that World Rugby is going to be pumping in several millions of dollars. Let's see.
I think
250,
it's
I think.
250,
Yeah,
yeah.
250 million or more into the US.
And everybody really loves that number. Everyone is not mad.
Yes. Yes. So, speaking at a media breakfast ahead of the doubleheader, World Rugby CEO Alan Gilpin said, "We're going to put $250 million plus into everything from community rugby building here with USA Rugby through to social digital building around the matches we're bringing here. It's not just about one-off matches in Washington or Chicago, it's about building those audiences." What that
Thanks, by the way.
means is another question, or is a question.
It's been
No, it's
strange.
the question.
People reacted
Yes.
so quickly and so negatively, and it seems weird that the news story is you're getting $250 million. And everyone goes, oh, it's been a strange couple of days.
I mean, my initial reaction is I was honestly kind of shocked. I understand now. I think here's when we've had to have a little bit of a reckoning because we like to think that rugby is a sport that is perhaps apart from other sports. I thought that we had more support globally. I did not know that everyone would be so angry that this money would be put somewhere where there could be so much ROI. There absolutely could. I understand there was a lot of conversation about the failure of the US national men's team, which is fraught by itself. Calm down. The failure of MLR, which is not what we're discussing at all, has no bearing on money going to USAR. And otherwise, we have a women's team. I don't know if you knew we had a sevens team that won a bronze medal. Maybe worth investing. We also have those World Cups. They're not going away. This money says that come hell or high water, those World Cups are here. I'm
There was
surprised,
definitely
but
confirmation of
okay.
that. Kolya, people always used to love to use the phrase "sleeping giant" about American rugby, but I think what World Rugby really means is honeypot. That's what they're chasing, right? Like World Rugby looks at the NFL and goes, "Wow, that's a lot of money."
Yes. Yes. World Rugby has to be thinking, if they could get 2% of NFL's support from the US,
Yeah.
that would get massive amounts of money. Like, we're already seeing things in Europe in the Gallagher Premiership, or now the Prem, as it's now rebranded,
The perm.
with the
The firm.
Newcastle, or with
With the
Newcastle
Red
Red
Bull,
Bull.
the
The
Newcastle
Red
Red
Yes.
Bulls.
Bulls.
Yes. Yes.
I have to give their socials credit for not backing down. They're like, "Say anything to us. We don't care." It's like, okay.
Well, they've had 30 years to work through it with soccer.
Yeah. I was going to say to feel the pain. I'm I don't
Julia,
know.
there was some other news that we kind of teased before that bit. It's not good news. People close to me, close to I think probably all of us, pretty affected by uh, a shocking Instagram post this evening. We don't know all that much about it yet, but Julia, what was the crasher?
Today we learned that Beantown RFC, which is a heavily I don't know how to explain it to folks who aren't super familiar with USA Club Rugby, but it's truly one of the clubs that I would consider one of the pillars of USA Club Rugby, especially for women. It's one of the clubs that has produced several Eagles, also
Including
produced
my friend
several.
Jan, Eagle number 41.
Exactly. And including many Boston Banshees as well, also other players that went on to other WER teams rather. So what we know so far is just what the post said, which was there was deliberation. They announced this in the early part of the season so that players could find other clubs before the club season got too far in, which is considerate. Thank you. What we know from back channels is that it was a combination of losing players to WER, which brings more questions, honestly, than it answers. Players that were still with the club that were perhaps not in the pro sphere or perhaps not on the Eagles' radar yet, that were coming to play to get on those radars, are now saying that they won't stay because those players are gone. It sounds like there's a bit of just, the rugby equivalent of brain drain. Everybody who wants to be something wants to go somewhere else. It sounds like they're not making numbers, but the reason that we report this is just because that's surprising, especially, to all of us, but especially to me and David. David very much tapped into the Boston rugby community. I am so far, I am so old and so far back that when I was playing club, Beantown was still one of the premier teams, and I played against them. And it was at the point where they had
It's been over 5 decades.
2 and 3 full sides they would bring to most tournaments. So for oldies like me, it is surprising to ever hear that numbers are going to be a problem for folks who are just learning about American rugby as well. Much like overseas, especially the big rugby nations, we do draw a lot of talent from our college. We discussed last episode about the draft. We absolutely draw a lot of talent there. It's where we develop most of our women's talent. We have a system where the best way to get involved in the highest tier rugby is to go to college that has it. There are now colleges where you wouldn't go, like I wouldn't go to a chiropractic college at Life for any other reason than to play rugby, for example. But Boston is a place where there are several high tier colleges as well. Harvard is there, BC is there.
Yeah.
BU is there, Northeastern is there. There's so many. It's surprising not to have that number.
The famous line from Spinal Tap is when their manager says, "By the way, the other thing is the Boston gig has been canceled." And they say, "What? What?" And he says, "Oh, I wouldn't worry about it though. Not a big college town."
Got him.
Um, we have so much to get through this week. I think we should stick a pin in this. We don't know more than we've already said, and it seems unfair to speculate. I think we'll know more by the time we're recording next time. So,
I will say that this was a shocker. It's a shocker. It sounds from former players, and if you do go to that Instagram post, you will see a lot of comments, especially from alumni, including up to Eagles, who make it sound good. It sounds like this might not be permanent, which is what you want to hear. The message that we will leave people with this on that while we pin it is we are not sensing a ton of doom. We're hoping that it's not time to close the lid on that. And what you should leave this episode with is we're not ready to close the lid on it.
They can be the Beantown Red Bulls.
Red Bull, call us. Red Bull. Vodka Red Bull. I don't know. It doesn't work. It doesn't work in the accent. It needs a Sam Adams. Sam Adams, call us.
I want to squeeze this in. I have a tiny bit of news as well. This weekend saw Tonga, Uruguay, and Canada all qualify for the Rugby World Cup 2027. For the men, Tonga qualified by virtue of earlier results combined with Samoa's loss against Fiji in Rotorua. I guess I've never said that out loud before. On our side of the planet, Uruguay lost to Chile in Montevideo. However, Los Teros had a 12-point advantage coming into that game, which meant that they qualified despite losing at home by 3 points. That means Chile are confirmed for the final qualification mini-tournament, which kicks off September 20th in Utah, concluding the next week in Chile. Well, all of our Eagles were back in action this weekend. Our men were back on home soil to face Japan. Another underwhelming result. We lost 21-47 with our guests pouring in 7 tries. Japan looked dominant in every area you can list. And while I think we all predicted Japan to win, I don't think any of us imagined it would be like this. Julia, did you watch this? What were your reactions from this one?
I did watch it. I'm really more interested in what you two think. My only real reaction to it was it's disappointing that the same things that we pinged last time we talked about it are still problems now. That was my biggest takeaway. It didn't seem like there was renewed tempo control. It didn't seem like there was renewed working on set pieces. I'm curious what you guys think, just because I know that you know more about the systems this team has in place.
Well, Kolya,
I'm curious. I'm curious what they and you and anyone think about sticking to structure.
After the game, first-time captain Jason Dam said, quote, "It's another step forward for us. Obviously, it's not the result we wanted, but it's a step ahead of the performance against Canada. So we'll keep building on that energy and that work," unquote. Do you agree with that?
So there was one step forward, and that's that we actually used a real live hooker at hooker.
Obviously, I was a big fan of that. I didn't know if we were allowed to bring it up as a one highlight. Is that I loved seeing a specialist for once, but
yes. Every other aspect of that performance was, in my opinion, a step backwards. But we actually used a hooker as a hooker. And there was some slight improvement at places like line-out play. And slight improvement at the scrum. Which, if we can get what we were doing earlier, plus having an actual hooker, we might actually be able to do something against Samoa.
This means a lot to me that I understand that this isn't what you meant, but I love that the ultimate come up is that our winning hinges on using a real hooker. And you know what? That's right.
Yeah.
It's true.
That's right.
Capelli Piffoletti, he had another good game for us. If we're searching for positives, like anyone else stand out for either of you?
Ruben de Haas again.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I guess he was rested against Canada, but he did a much better job at scrum half.
I was going to say creative dude. He had some creativity. It was nice to see.
And an interesting guy, too. Is he a cheetah? Is he an eagle? He's back and forth. He's constantly tweeting. He's a really interesting guy. I would love to chat with him someday.
Ruben de Haas, if you're watching, and we know you are, friend of the pod.
Yeah.
Messages.
Kolya, in our group chats this week, you had some unflattering words to describe our performance. I found some numbers that kind of draw a stark underline. They more than doubled our carry meters. It was 256 to 579. And in so doing, they beat 24 U.S. defenders. On top of that, we lost 6 out of 15 lineouts. Like, where do we even start?
Losing 6 out of 15 is actually an improvement over our recent stuff.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Yikes.
Stronger. Go on.
Yeah. So we've noted in the past that our set piece is an absolute abomination at this time, and I'm not entirely sure why that is, because as far as I know, we do have a set piece coach. What they're doing during training for that is anyone's guess. But that plus some of the selections that we've talked about previously, like we didn't talk about this as a pod last week because we had no idea what kind of lineup would actually show up.
Right.
Because each time has been completely different. Things like in our first warm-up game over the summer, we had Ali Khan come on as an injury replacement at second row for his first cap, and he got a try. And then he didn't play any of the other warm-up games. And then he started against Canada in the back row. And now he started against Japan in the back row. And I don't get it.
Where do you feel
if the plan
he's been most effective though?
Well, I'm okay with him starting.
If at all.
Yeah, I'm okay with him starting in the back row. I really like him as a player. But if the plan was to start him in the back row, why do we not do it during the warm-up matches?
Right.
And that's across the board too.
And this is stuff.
It's amazing.
Kind of
it's amazing that I have almost the exact same question about our women's team too coming up.
Yes. Like we have ideas and we have players that we can play, but we don't let them get any sort of consistent run up in the build up. And then we throw them in for our most important matches
with no integration to the
with
system.
No real integration, and we expect it to be on song. And meanwhile, we've played a Canada team that's been really, really up for it. Like, I still wouldn't say that Canada's the better team than the US, but they to use the Squidge Rugby phrase, wanted it more.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whereas Japan played an okay game, but they were not at their best.
No.
We made it very, very, very easy for them in every phase of the match.
No, what we ended up saying too was that it was more that that Japan lost it than
the US lost it more than Japan won it.
Yeah.
Like
I'm a big fan
should
of
Japan have won? Yes. Should it have been in that manner? No.
No, more than a double up was
yeah. And
it wasn't necessary.
I like Scott Lawrence as a coach. I like some of the attacking play that he has designed. But I don't know, or I can't understand his selections.
Yeah. Like, I'm a big fan of the 8-9 Combo podcast, and they do great interviews. They had one show where they talked to this analyst who really explained the most important thing for success at the international level is cohesion. It's time playing together, so you get to know those individuals. And I think it's not just the individuals. I think it's those individuals being in the same positions. Like the USA men and the USA women seem to be like, hey, you're here today, you're there tomorrow. That's no good for long-term growth, right?
It's said a lot. It's said a lot in other American sports, especially in soccer and basketball. I don't know if it's in men's as well. I would assume so. Practice like you intend to play.
Yes.
Practice what you intend to play. Also, I think that that's a problem for
Allen
both
Iverson
of our
once
teams.
famously said, practice? We talking about practice?
Thank you, AI. Good AI. Folks.
Classic. By the way, this match was held at the Heart Health Park in Sacramento. I imagine that was a bit of a shock for Japan when they arrived. Like they were like, "Wait a sec, this is California? Why are there so many
I
cows?"
didn't know that, but is it sponsored by Kaiser or something? Because Kaiser's out of California. Is that the deal?
I don't know.
Why is it Heart Health? Okay, I should have looked that up.
Really
that's
odd.
that's something I'll have to look up off air, folks. Sorry, just ignore me. Heart Health. We've got a lot of interesting arenas. I do appreciate that folks from overseas are always just like,
it seems
for
fake,
example,
for
example,
in a movie,
the Chicago
the
Tempest
name in the
plays at
background.
Northwest Medicine Field, and I was like,
Northwest Medicine.
That's right. That's right. That's where they play.
Well, I just want to take a moment to remind all of you that liking and subscribing is the best way to help us grow. If you could tell a friend or two, that would be smashing. We are part of the Global Gainline Network. We're incredibly grateful for your ongoing support. We're closing in on 600 subscribers on YouTube, so thanks once again to all of you. Honestly, we really do appreciate it. Okay, there was another match this weekend, a game much easier to watch, I guess, but that left me feeling perhaps more deflated by the end of the day. Last week I said if we beat Samoa by 60 and Australia lose to England by 70, we're still out of this tournament. And sure enough, we beat Samoa by 60 in New York, giving away not one single point in the process. Kolya, start us off. What were your thoughts on this match?
So I know there's disappointment about us not advancing and not playing to our potential against England, which is really what set this up, and not going for the win against Australia, even though going for the draw was probably the smarter option if you look at things like analytics. But
yes,
I actually really enjoyed this match, and prior to the news that came out that we're going to have a new coaching staff for the women's Eagles afterwards, I thought
that's next on the list.
Yes, I thought this is showing where we can be. This is showing where we can be.
Yeah.
We did some really, really fun stuff on the attack, which I hadn't seen us do before. We played really well defensively.
Very much. And right up to the end as well.
Yeah, and it gave me a lot of positives. I went away from that match happy. Like I knew that, or based on how the first half went, that we were not going to score enough to go through. But I walked away from watching that match happy.
Julia Frida Tafuna had her second player of the match performance in a row, scoring 4 tries and looking completely unstoppable and smiling the whole time and really enjoying herself. Not just her, but what were your reactions as this game unfolded?
So I absolutely agree on all of the before, for sure. So it's been really interesting, actually, taking the pulse of the rugby world about that win. Now, it's interesting. What I get from other America fans is that people were really more expecting like an 85-0 win. Okay. When I talk to people overseas, especially folks who are either UK rugby or South America or Australia, New Zealand rugby, all thought that it was going to be way closer. There were a lot of questions that I think ultimately were unfounded, but that a lot of the rugby world was asking. And unfortunately, when you're at a World Cup, you can't escape that kind of coverage. You can't escape seeing it. But all that said, I was quite happy with that performance. I agree that we saw a lot of potential. I feel like what we saw in that match a lot of, and it was what we wanted, was we saw a lot of the future of the Eagles. Learning that we're going to get a new coach. Okay. I would say that it's both a shame.
Let's not get into that just yet.
Sure. I okay. No. I'll go back. I'll go back just to looking at the future of the team. I say this because we saw some performances from people that we expect to see doing more in the future that will probably be much bigger names in the next World Cup cycle. Obviously, Erica Cersei, a big name that absolutely everybody's talking about, that is obviously a name that is going to mean a lot going forward. It's probably going to be a big name in the next World Cup. But we've seen others. I think, first of all, I was really happy that the team that we fielded was one that I had also nearly predicted, which first of all, I feel great about, but also, it was one that was looking forward, which is what we wanted. We saw Cass Bargel starting. I think that is one of the futures of American women's scrum halving.
Her
Absolutely.
snipe try made me so happy.
Fantastic. She has
the
fantastic
vision.
instincts. Her field vision is fantastic. Her instincts are really good. It's really encouraging to find a scrum half that is both really physical. I wish she wouldn't go into rucks so much, but she does, which go off, Queen. Please don't. It scares me every time. My heart rate spikes. We need you, because she is really good at keeping that tempo. She is really good at driving that game. There are a few little pieces here and there that would be really great if we sorted out. It would be really great if we sorted out what the problem is in the 10 shirt. That's not a conversation for right now. We don't have that answer. That was not what we wanted to see over the whole cup. We need to figure that out. We need to figure out a center partnership. We need to figure out a settled back three. All of those things are true. We have a lot of questions in the scrum. However, overall, my takeaway from that was that gave me confidence, and I feel that we played with a lot of confidence, which was a lot of what we liked seeing. I would like to see an Eagles that can muster that for somebody scarier than Samoa. And I don't say that to take off from Samoa. Just this was the one where you would expect, and that was why I brought up in the beginning the expectations for the score for Americans who actually watch American rugby. I give them a heavier weight than I do people who just, and we were talking about the money earlier, but there are a lot of people, and I don't want to be this guy. I don't want to be this guy who has to say this, but like, I don't know why people root against American rugby. It's weird. We're really into the like we came in as, like we're a younger rugby nation, a lot of them, but we want to be a part. We're not coming in to try to be like the America does for other stuff. That's not what we're doing. We're really trying to ingratiate ourselves in a community.
I think they're used to American tourists.
Exactly. They'll root for us the more they see us. I'm really hoping that eventually we garner the kind of like turnaround, okay, like we're behind you again, that like the Springboks are seeing. I hope we get that too. But
Lev Kelter was back. She came on at minute 48. She looked determined to make up for lost time. I was so happy to see her, and she looked like she was ready to just tear a new one in that field. Kolya, any other standout performances for you for this weekend?
So other than Tafuna, who was just an absolute monster, Sagapolu,
and so fast.
Player of the tournament for me.
Yeah, Sagapolu played really well. Went on a couple rampaging runs.
She's awesome.
I need more Ibarra in my life after seeing her in this match.
I have a special question for y'all after we do this about
I love that we get to say that too, especially because like other teams have those really exciting, really young people. Like we have one.
Yes.
Yes. She's gonna be great.
She's our Sorensen McGee.
Yes.
I hate that we spoiled it, but that's how I feel about it. Like she really could be. I feel she's more our Caitlin House. But yes,
she was so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Gerald Cersei played well again.
Another fantastic game.
This was probably Hope Rogers' best match of the tournament.
Which she deserved.
Yes.
Julia, has Gabby Cantorna permanently claimed kicking duties? I don't want to dive too deep in the other direction.
We shouldn't dive too deep.
I just want to say I thought Gabby looked really confident and the percentage board out.
I am thrilled, and I feel vindicated by saying that like I felt confident by knowing that Gabby was coming back. I've always been a very big backer of Gabby Cantorna. She's a fantastic 10-12. It's fine that she came in at 12. That's fine to me too. Unfortunately, on the back of this World Cup, if I were to just make that judgment and we were, for example, to go back to a WXV or like we're going straight back into Pack 4, yes, she'd be back in the 10 shirt. I think it's just a better bet right now. I think it was why I hinted at it earlier, is that I think things need to settle in the back line a bit more before I've talked about it before we get cute. But I'm also less worried about that now, knowing that another coach is going to come in. I'm very curious who the coach is going to be. I think there's a big question between whether it's going to be finally a homegrown coach or whether it's going to be another, like star signing that we get somewhere else. There are a lot of benefits to both, but especially on the back of a successful WER, it would be really great if we saw somebody like Sarah Shabbat being the head coach finally, the coach of the Denver Onyx. Also has been coached Glendale Raptors. Fantastic homegrown coach. Jamie Burke, longtime coach of UVA, has also been an assistant coach of the Eagles. It'd be great if perhaps she was elevated. Otherwise, somebody will probably come from England or Australia or New Zealand. And we'll see what they think of us.
Hawkins had a tough tournament. We love her, I think, on this pod.
Big fan.
I think we all worried that this might have been really tough on her, sort of mentally. I think, Kolya, the term you used, that she's in her head. Now, I just want to make sure that we point out the points we left out on the pitch through missed kicks would not have made a dent in the wall that we were up against. Let no one say any individual is responsible for our, exiting this tournament. We are a great team. Nobody had a perfect performance through 3 games, and that's the difference. We need cohesion. We need consistency. Every player on this team, I think, is looking in the mirror right now and saying, I could have been better, and they're all correct. That being said, we had some amazing performances. We saw green shoots. We saw a team bonding together. We saw Erica Gerald Searcy emerge, whisper it as my new favorite player on our squad. We saw huge crowds getting their eyes on what our women can do for the first time. It was glorious, and I think our players should be really proud. But I also think they should be willing to, take some serious lessons from this tournament because we didn't come through. Rant over.
I think you're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
So here it is. Here's a question for either of you. What did you make of how we used Ibarra? Like, she's so talented, but we don't use her consistently. She came off the bench for the final 20 minutes against England. She was on the bench and never got off the bench against Australia. And then she started and went full 80 against Samoa. Can either of you explain it to me? Like, is it as simple as she's 19 and we don't know what she can do yet?
That's my answer. That's my simple answer.
That would be my answer is we're not really sure what to do with her. And thought Samoa, or that throwing her on against Samoa would be a good kind of blooding.
It absolutely was. I think 15 is emerging as the place where she should be. But it is important to note, we are one of the teams that currently relies on crossover from 7s to 15s. She is also a crossover, which means that she could have other things in the tank. We have to see. However, what we did see is success at 15s.
Right now. Because she has so few, it's still like, I like that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, and that's, I would assume it's the best way to train a true crossover if you get to start from the absolute beginning. That's certainly what New Zealand does.
I feel like if she even has an off season, she'll like join a rugby league team somewhere.
I mean, I think she will very likely take the model of Alev Kelcher, who never has time off. She just goes straight from PWR down to WER, WXV campaign. If there is a 7th season, okay. If not, I don't know what she does. Maybe take like a week off. I don't know. But
so I went down a huge rabbit hole about USA Women's Rugby this weekend. I found some really cool stuff. Julia, here's a nice little bit of trivia just for you. According to the U.S. Women's Rugby Foundation, an incredible organization, and they curate an incredible archive and online museum, by the way, the first officially recorded girls' high school rugby team in the USA was formed in 1982. Want to take a wild guess where that was?
Was that West Potomac, Virginia?
St. Agnes High School in Fairfax, Virginia.
Fairfax. Sorry, I knew it was St. Agnes. I thought they were in West Springfield. They're in Fairfax. My bad. Yep.
I also want to say, so last week I questioned whether this team had a 60-point performance in them. I was glad to be proved wrong. As I was doing my deep dive, I wondered, what the most points scored we've ever scored was, and I came across an incredible run from 1993 to 1994. Are you ready for this? In June of 1993, we closed out the final 2 tests of the Canada Cup by beating Wales 26-0, then beating Canada 60-3. After that, it was the 94 World Cup where we beat Sweden, 111-0, then Japan 121-0, then Ireland 76-0. And then Wales 56-15 to bookend that little run, a 6-game win streak where we outscored our opponents 450-18. Holy crap.
The one time you will ever catch me saying, bring us back.
Anyway, I do want to include some time for Samoa. Can either of you bring some positives for them? What is their coach telling them after this match?
Chloe is the coach. You go first.
So there were some real sorry. There were some really nice things they pulled off, especially in the second half. There were some nice set piece moves that they ran. There were a couple of tries that they should have gotten, except for just absolutely brilliant defense by the US. That they were able to end, even though it was a nil score, that they were able to kind of end on a high. I would really push as a coach. And seeing, and it's got to help them just being over there and seeing how much support they got from the diaspora.
Yeah.
That's got to be a giant morale boost.
At the end of the match, when they were just pounding on the door over and over, and the comms were like, even the most hard-hearted American fan can't want someone not to score
here. I was
here.
saying, yes, and I was like, last
can.
I was going to say.
Last week I was like, I can. Try. And in that moment I was like, no. I can't believe we held them out. It was sick.
It's a good week.
So I heard earlier today, the big motivating talk in the lockers for Samoa was that they needed to make things difficult for us so that they could help their Australasian sisters in the Wallaroos advance to a quarterfinal. I don't know that for a fact. I kind of like the idea, especially since it didn't really work that well.
Glad it worked out.
So as I said, it was a fun one to watch, but Australia, they didn't lose by anywhere close, enough to keep our hopes alive. Our tournament has ended in the wake of the loss. Sione Fukafuka has left the team less than 2 years into his tenure as head coach. It's being characterized as his decision. The statement read, quote, I have been honored and privileged to lead the USA Women's Eagles for the past 2 years into the Rugby World Cup. The staff and players have been a pleasure to work with and have committed countless hours to move the program into a high-performance environment, changing the game on and off the field. I want to thank them for their commitment, their trust in the program, and where we were building. That's the most ambiguous phrase to me. I have made the difficult decision to step down from my role as head coach and return to Australia to prioritize my family, unquote. Either of you, thoughts on coach's departure?
This happens at the end of World Cup cycles. It happens anyway. I'm going first because I think mine's going to be shorter. Because mine is something that my other podcast got in trouble for talking about, but it's a thing that is real, unfortunately. My other Women's Rugby Treehouse podcast.
Wait.
Was censored.
I haven't listened yet, but I'm gonna guess. Can I?
Oh, no. Not. It wasn't this episode. It was an episode ago.
Oh, okay. Can I still guess?
Please.
Men only view women's coaching roles as stepping stones.
No, this was actually a real YouTube censor. No, we got censored for electioneering. So I will try not to electioneer, but I will say a thing that is true. And I know Kolia, of all people being in Texas, is probably going to know where I'm going. Right now, it is really dangerous, actually, for people who don't hold American passports to be in America. It's probably not pleasant to be a brown man in America. When we had an unsuccessful World Cup and when it doesn't look like, also I wonder if they knew about the 250 million that was coming before he decided, because there's probably something that was in the pipeline. Unfortunately, it's something that I worry about a lot for both of our teams going forward for the next few years, getting any sort of talent to come over to either consult or coach or any of that. I understand why a coach would leave right now for more reasons than just rugby, but also for the rugby. It might be not related to that at all, but It didn't surprise me as much as it would have otherwise.
I was only surprised. So last week, I kind of slipped in a question that kind of I think we all ignored. I was like, is coach on the hot seat depending on the result this weekend or the results overall from the tournament? And then nobody answered it. And I forgot to answer. I thought the answer was yes. I thought he was on the hot seat after. I don't know.
I mean,
it just
the word, like, I read articles that people wrote, especially Tess Fury. Other people wrote columns for Rugby Pass, and everyone spoke really highly about the systems that he put in place and the development for the team.
So somebody else though once told me when the players come out publicly and say we really like this coach and we like what they're doing,
it could often be
that means the coach is getting fired.
Okay.
When they say nothing, that means everything's fine.
I would buy that too, to be fair. Yeah.
So there's also the idea that they are, or that a coaching staff can get stale, especially going through more than one. Yeah, through more than one World Cup cycle. He's only been there 2 years, so I'd expect that wasn't the case.
Right.
What I'm slightly worried about is that, like we've mentioned in the past, some USA Rugby politicking in the back room.
I was also going to assume
USA and that probably played a role if you're not able to pick players where you want to pick them.
Yep.
Or if you are being told you have to pick this player.
Yep.
And I'm not naming any names because I'm assuming if it happened with one, it happened with more than one.
Yep.
That is going to be a problem, especially like this is a problem in any sport when you're coaching going all the way down to youth sports, where if there's any sort of politicking of this person has to play and has to play in this position, that can drive you mad as a coach.
So do we think I can see two sides of this coin. There's the USA Rugby said we expected to advance to the knockouts. That was our expectation. We said ahead of time. You didn't make it. You're fired.
Which I think is really shooting yourself in the foot if that was it.
Or the narrative of him being like, "You've been telling me what to do and who to pick and who not to pick," which is more likely.
It's not great otherwise.
Yeah. Is it more likely that him leaving our team is because he was forced to select certain players at certain positions, or because of the decision to not pick Lev in that game against Australia?
It's a loaded but good question. I wouldn't have been brave enough to say it, but I'm glad you did.
Well, that's why I left it to you to answer.
Well, so here's one other thing to consider. And it's worth saying. So Fuka used to be an assistant coach for the Wallaroos. He is Australian. Joe Yap is leaving. I will just fill in the blanks. Joe Yap wants to go home to the UK. He wants to go home to Australia. There is a role for him.
I want Joe Yap to come here.
I want that too. She says she won't come here, so my new banking is Susie Appleby, who also hasn't found a place to land. That would be awesome. But the more I've talked to other USA Rugby people, especially people who are invested in both like the men's and women's equally, I admit I'm not equally, but I'm getting there. I agree. It would be really great to have somebody who has always been all in on American rugby. We haven't had that. We have Emily Bidewell on the sevens, and it worked.
Right.
So why not? Get Sarah Shabbat in. Get Jamie Birkin. Get Kit Ruiz in. I mean, I'd be interested to see how it would go. We're going to be starting a new World Cup cycle. Why not see? If coaches have a 2-year longevity, why not see?
Ugh.
I would hope that's not the case. I'm just saying.
Well, once more, I'd like to quickly remind everyone that watching or listening, again, just help us spread the word about this show to all of those that, are watching and listening. Hit the subscribe button, hitting all those things. We're almost to 600 listeners. And we really want to keep growing the show, especially here in the United States, where it seems that the sport is failing every single week.
According to online. No, I know. I'm just helping you. I'm just helping you.
Okay, here's a final little twist for both of you so we can kind of remember this tournament fondly. While our World Cup is over, and while we won't see these Eagles for a lengthy spell, we were treated to some incredible performances. I've got 3 categories for you both. A, best newcomer. This is all for the Eagles. B, bench player of the tournament. And C, of course, player of the tournament. Kolya, I'm going to start with you. Who is your best newcomer Eagle? And I was, as I was looking at this, I was like, what does that mean? Under 10 caps, I guess? Is that fair?
Right. Okay.
So,
we have the same.
Yeah, we probably have the same.
Kaspar Gel.
So, Kaspar Gel.
Same.
Kaspar Gel.
Yep. That's my newcomer.
Kaspar Gel, bench player.
Wait. So you agree on the best newcomer, of course. But Kolya,
Yes.
Tell us why you picked Cass.
She solidified it for me with that snipe against Samoa. She's got really good vision. She's a good passer of the ball. She recycles the ball quickly. And
she's a quick thinker.
Yes,
she thinks really quick. It's beautiful.
I just really enjoyed watching her and was surprised she didn't start against England.
Julia,
I wonder if I wonder if they genuinely didn't know that she had that in her. I mean, fair.
Yes.
But I'm super glad and I feel that was picked up on. I think that she was one of the players that wasn't hard done by. I think that she was actually recognized, which makes me happy. And I feel like then the performance in Samoa was just like, yep, there it is. You've arrived.
So you agree on our best newcomer. Julia, we'll start with you for the best bench player of the tournament for us.
Oh, Kristen Bitter, for sure.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic dynamic 10-12 again, which is something that we have trouble with. We talked about Gabby Cantorna. We talked about Mac Hawk. Great. What you really want is somebody with that versatility that we saw from KB. Also young in terms of caps, in terms of appearances, really. I don't know. I love that burst of energy. I think at this point, throw anything at that position. Let's see what works. I feel like it's a place where we need to figure stuff out anyway. So I love a new burst of energy.
Kolya, who's your bench player of the tournament?
So I'm trying to take what bench player could mean. Is it?
Yeah.
Because
was usually on the bench.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Yes. But I'm going to go Lev Kelter.
Yeah. That's fair.
That's almost why I injected that question.
Yes,
I was like, because of her rampaging performance this weekend.
Yes. Because once she came on against Samoa, she looked like she had taken like some sort of super serum and just
she hit the 11 button.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
And just gone absolutely crazy out there. Like she was kicking the ball, making turnovers on the try line, just everywhere.
Was it actually Bitter who came in at the same time as she did? Because and then got yellow carded and like the comms were all about
it's
we're
fine.
all scared of the
skipping over that.
Yellow card.
And
she was like, you know what, you have that.
Yes.
Okay, well, go to the other question.
Okay, Kolya, player of the tournament.
Tafuna.
I think we all 3 have it's Tafuna. It's Frida Tafuna. I know it's yours too, David.
Yes.
I knew that you were going to do that, so I had to zag, and I was going to say Sagapolo.
Oh, okay, yes, absolutely.
And then I said, you know what, Hope Rogers, because I don't think we're going to see her again. And god damn, what a great performance! 3 games in a row where she dominated.
That's my thing. It's like, what a career! I don't mind, but no, it was Frida Tafuna.
But just how fun was she to watch in that Samoa match? Like, she was great to watch against Australia, but she was...
Yeah, in full flight, she really shows. Yeah.
Yes.
And the fact that she looks like she's having so much fun. She's like a giant Stacy Waka. She's like, oh.
I was just gonna say, it's a different vibe from Stacy Waka, but the same heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So each week we like to find some grassroots if possible. I came up totally blanks this week, and we've already kind of been running our mouths for a while. Did either of you have any cool tidbits from the grassroots level?
Yeah, I have two quick things.
Nice.
One is less grassroots and more just an interesting fact. NOLA Gold apparently still has a team store, and for those who care to raid their stuff, there's going to be a 30% off sale on Thursday and Friday. I know there are some other people on the global Gainline network that were looking for NOLA Gold stuff.
Oh.
Listening, and just letting you know, Thursday and Friday, there's a 30% off sale of NOLA Gold stuff on their shop.
It saddens me that the two MLR teams that did the quartered jersey are now gone. Yes. I love the quartered jersey.
Yes. Yes. And then my second thing is that my high school, where I started playing rugby, although at that point it wasn't sanctioned by the high school.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, we all started on unsanctioned teams.
Now has full men's and women's teams, and just hosted Irish Rugger Fest in Nashville, Tennessee.
No way.
Hey. I love to hear that.
And that is so cool.
And had something like 14 high schools from around Tennessee and a few surrounding states come in.
Absolutely.
And what is the Irish connection?
The Appalachians.
It's named after Father Abram Ryan, who was an Irish immigrant priest.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Amazing. And what do you know what the results of the tournament was?
Where
was?
I saw something that the Lady Irish went undefeated throughout.
Nice.
I don't know what the men did.
Wow. Undefeated, let's just say.
Yeah, yes.
Well, my friends, this was amazing. I can't think of any better people with whom to commiserate about the futility of American rugby at the moment. Any last thoughts before we call a full lid?
So we've got that important USA men's match against Samoa coming up.
We do. We need to win that.
We don't know much about the lineup.
Right.
And we know that Samoa is coming off of a few losses and has also not been in a great place.
But they are 6-2 against us historically.
Yes, but they have history against us, and they're going to come in angry and not wanting to have to go to the repechage.
They'll also be in Denver. Will the elevation be in effect at all? It's not like we've been training there, but
yeah, it could.
Yeah, like
scrums at elevation are not fun.
Yeah, if we beat Samoa, if the men beat Samoa this weekend, that does mean we're in the World Cup. It's almost embarrassing, the simple fact that Canada are already in and we're not. But if we lose to Samoa, which is a possibility, we have a 2-game series against Chile starting on September 20th. And that's how we lost the repechage last time. But then there'll be a repechage after that. So anyway, everybody's moving up, except maybe us. We'll see. However, go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
Anyway, as always, thanks to Lee, Hugh, and all the folks at the Wrap. Thanks for all of you for coming along and watching or listening. We're on YouTube. We're on all the usual platforms for audio pods. You can always help out by spreading the word. That would be phenomenal. Until next week, from all of us, cheers, thanks to you all, and be well.
That was the Wall Street Journal. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can like us on Facebook and on Twitter and do all the usual things. More importantly, join us again next week for more of the same.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.